Let's talk about fluids. They scare a lot of us, but they are completely natural. I mean, when a man loves a woman very much, or when a bee loves another bee, or when a biter loves an what? Oh, so um, fluids in Factorio are scary, especially the moment you unlock advanced oil processing and suddenly you're juggling heavy oil, light oil, and petroleum gas while trying to push towards blue science. But don't worry, I'm here for you. Once you understand how cracking works and why your pipes keep backing up like a broken sink, it all becomes simple. And in this video, I'll explain everything, guys. It's so much simpler than it seems, and I'll walk you through the basics step by step so you can handle oil confidently without turning your factory into some weird mess of circuits and combinators and stuff like that. Okay, let's jump straight into it. Before we start talking about oil, because it's the main challenge with dealing with fluids in this game, let's look at how fluids actually begin in Factorio. So early in the game, you already have pipes because you need them for water boilers and stuff like that, steam power and all that good stuff. At this stage, only water and steam is basically the only thing you need to worry about. The first real fluid milestone is this one, the fluid handling, and you'll see in the effects what it unlocks, which is basically storage tanks and pumps. Ignore barrels for now. So we unlock storage tanks that let you hold large amounts of fluid and think of them as like your buffers, and you'll need them to manage all this stuff. And pumps let you control the flow, and there's a limit in terms of how long your pipes can be, and once you reach that limit, you'll use pumps to expand or extend the pipes network. Basically, they're like infinite as long as you put pumps in the middle. Next comes oil gathering. This is when you unlock the pump jacks, and this is the first true fluid producer if we ignore the water. Okay, it pulls crude oil out from the ground, and I'll show you how that looks like. If you go into the remote view, you'll see some purple symbols. You see these purple symbols? I probably have already somewhere here. Where is it? Oh, here. So you see these purple squares? If you put a pump jack, like I did here, probably this is a bit dark. I'm going to try to edit this. Hopefully future me won't forget to edit, because of course it had to be nighttime when I'm showing you this. You just plop a pump jack, and what happens on the tech tree is that the pump jack will then enable the next stage, which is oil processing. So all you need to do is get a pump jack, find those purple squares on the map, plop one of these, and then you'll automatically unlock oil processing. You see, researched by mining crude oil. And then you'll have a simple recipe, I'll show you in a sec, that basically turns crude oil into petroleum gas. And you'll need petroleum gas for stuff like plastic, sulfur, and batteries, which is really important for the next milestone. For example, as you can see here, if you want to reach the chemical science stuff, you'll need to unlock these technologies. And these are the basics. Later, you're going to unlock advanced. Oh, I shouldn't have left this. So later, after you unlock chemical science, you're going to unlock this recipe called advanced oil processing. And this is where things get messy. How messy? This messy. Once you unlock advanced oil processing recipe and you'll need it to scale up your production, it's going to get messy. I'll explain more or less this mess in a sec, but let's go to a clean slate, a blank canvas, and then start explaining how you can do this step by step. Awesome. So you've unlocked oil processing, you now have a refinery, and now you can turn that yummy oil, that oil into, ignore this recipe, okay? Let's focus on this one. That's what you will unlock in the beginning. And what you can see is that you'll turn crude oil, 100 crude oil, into 45 petroleum gas. And that's awesome. You'll be able to unlock a bunch of stuff. So you select the recipe, and then you will have like a tank. Let's go grab the tank. And you can see where the output is coming from. And by the way, if you don't know, if you press the H key, it kind of mirrors it horizontally. If you select, first you have to roll over your cursor on top of the entity, and then if you press the H key, look what happens. It reverses horizontally, and if I press the V key from vertical, it flips it vertically. And then obviously if it's R, the R key, I'm saying obviously because you might know that you can rotate buildings, so you press R and it rotates the building. But if you want to mirror it horizontally or vertically, you can do so. Just a tip. So I'm going to put back as it was. Okay, so, and of course it had to be nighttime. Give me a sec. Let's wait for daytime so you can see clearly what I'm talking about. I am not a patient person, so I just put some lights around. So hopefully this is better. Right, so we have a refinery. We put the basic recipe, basic oil processing, which turns crude oil into petroleum gas, and then we just use a storage tank just to buffer it. That's basically it, just to balance out things, because the rhythm of this production, you see, every 5 seconds, 45, you use a buffer just to stabilize this production, basically. There's no other science to it. And what can you do with this? Well, actually, let's connect. I have here a oil pipe. So let me connect this oil so we can see this in action. Okay, so here you go. Now, every 5 seconds, it will plop 45, I think, petroleum gas, or 9 per second. Low power? What the heck? Okay. I need to troubleshoot why I have low power. I'll be right back. Apparently I forgot to connect the power from my power plant, my nuclear power plant, into my power grid. And that's because I was reorganizing some stuff, which is something else I want to show you a bit later, which is how do I use pipes and oil to protect my base. So I'll show you in a sec. So I was reorganizing that and I forgot to connect things back. Anywho, what was I saying? Right, so we convert crude oil into petroleum gas. And here, when you click the storage tank, you can see the tank and the pipeline contents. And you can flush this out if needed. That's what these icons mean. Okay. Now that you are buffering, and then you can obviously create more of these. So I'm just going to copy paste because I have bots. It's quite easy. And by the way, if you don't know how these bots and logistic networks work, hopefully I won't forget to put a link here in the video, because I created a video on how to do this, because it really, really helps with this stuff. And then you can just connect. I'm going to connect this here and here. And that's basic. Oopsie daisy. I got it wrong. It's here, and then I can connect from here to here. There we go. Now I need to do the same on this side. Just put the normal pipe here. Then I use the underground pipes, just so they don't get in the way, and I can transverse things easily. That's why I use underground pipes, really, because the normal pipes, they block your path. Right, so producing petroleum. And what do we need this petroleum for? Like I said, we need it for plastic. I'm just going to plot the buildings here so you can see the recipes. We'll need it to build plastic with some coal, and then we will need it also for sulfur. And that's basically before you unlock blue science. This is the main use cases. Okay, so I'm not going to connect all of this. It's just normal stuff. Okay, just to show you. Now, later, you will unlock the advanced oil processing recipe, and that's where things get messy. So let's convert this. I changed the recipe into advanced oil processing. So I'm going to change the recipe, and you'll notice that it's also asking for water. So one of the things I normally do when you have multiple fluids, input and output, is create like layers. For example, this would be the first layer, or swim lane. Maybe it's easier to understand. Let's imagine a horizontal line, and this would be dedicated to crude oil. And I'm going to create another one, a second one, 1, 2. So this line is for crude oil, and this one is for water. And then I use the underground pipes to run parallel to these ones. Because if I put the normal pipes, for example here, and here they would all connect. You see, I already messed this whole thing up. Yeah, so if you mix fluids, you can't. And that's why underground pipes are also useful, to make sure that you can put things parallel to each other without them getting all mixed up. Okay, so let's put this back together. And this actually is a good opportunity for me to show you another tip. So right now you have oil where water should be. So what do? Flush. Remember the flush button? You just flush it. Boom, it's gone. Okay, now these pipes are clean. So if you make these mistakes, don't worry, it's very easy to fix, as you can see. Now I just need to find the source of water, which is my normal refineries. Cool. So I'm going to do that. Now what happens? Now the confusion happens. So now you converted this into advanced oil processing, i.e. the refinery, but now you're producing other types of fluid. What's going to happen? You're not producing anymore. Why? Because now heavy oil and light oil are blocking the production of petroleum gas. And if you're seeing this video, you probably faced this, right? If you haven't, pay attention. If you have, this will feel quite familiar, right? So how do you deal with this? Well, the easiest one in the short term, just create more storage tanks, okay? And dedicate each storage tank for a type of fluid. For example, using the same logic I did for the water, I'm going to create here 3 levels. Okay, same here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So this first swim lane is for petroleum gas, the second swim lane is going to be for light oil, and the third swim lane is going to be for heavy oil. And what this does, then it depends how you want to connect this, but what this does is enables you to just postpone the problem. So right now, you until these fill up, you've delayed the problem. I forgot to connect this. Why is it not working? What did I forget to connect? Oh, because of the oil. Yeah, my bad. Here it is. I think now everything's connected. Yeah, everything's producing fine. Okay. So now it's okay. Things are producing just fine, right? But obviously what we've done with this buffer is just delay the inevitable, which is one of these fluids will back up and block all the production. And this is the main purpose of this video. How do you deal with this, right? I think first I'm going to remove this two stuff here. First, you need to understand how you're going to use these fluids, okay? The easiest solution for this is to convert the heavy oil and the light oil back into petroleum gas. So essentially then you only have one problem again, okay? And how do you do this? Let's check the recipes. I'm going to open this. Look, you're going to unlock heavy oil cracking and light oil cracking. And this is basically what you do. You do conversion of heavy oil to light oil, and then light oil into petroleum gas, and petroleum gas you can then use. We're going to use a lot of it, by the way. Petroleum gas you're going to use for a lot of recipes, mainly plastic and sulfur, but you also can use solid fuel, and you'll need solid fuel to make rocket fuel. Okay, this is not the most efficient recipe, but who cares about efficiency? Okay, the resource in this game is infinite. And what do I mean by not being efficient? Look at ingredients and look at the products. So the ingredient says you grab 20 petroleum gas and turns into 1 solid fuel. However, if you use light oil, it's half of the quantity. If you use heavy oils, again 20. So if you want to optimize your fluid consumption, and as you mature and you learn these concepts, you will learn more advanced techniques to balance this stuff, you might consider light oil. I think from a beginner perspective, you just convert everything to petroleum gas and job's done. And how do you do that? Well, you grab some chemical plants. I'm just going to do something super simple. And you say, hey, Mr. Plant, convert heavy oil into light oil. So you connect this to here, and then you can connect to that. I'm going to connect this one here. This is not going to be pretty, okay, but it's going to be functional. I'm going to do something like this. So now the heavy oil gets converted into light oil, and it also needs water. So let's do the same logic. Level 1 is going to be water, because this guy will then convert light oil into petroleum gas, and it will also need water. Oh, this is not good. So how am I going to do this? I know. I'm just going to dedicate the second swim lane to light oil. Do something like this. And now I'm going to... Oh, I can't. I can't. Okay, this is not good. This is not good. I'm going to have to do something else. Okay, now it's working. So what are we doing? Have you all to in the chemical plant, and then it gets converted to light oil, and light oil gets converted into petroleum gas, and now I'm going to connect the petroleum gas again to here. I'm using these normal pipes as guidelines. I'm going to connect it like so. One more. And like so. Okay. Now I'll only have one problem, but this is still not great. Okay. So if I only need petroleum gas, this will work. Okay. But still not great because you will need light oil and you will need heavy oil for other stuff. Mainly, you will need heavy oil. I need to have some space here. This is going to again be a bit of a mess, but let's try to do something like here. I'm going to align it with this. You need heavy oil to make lubricant, which you will need later to do engines and stuff like that. I think engines used in the electric engines, and to produce this other stuff that you will definitely need, the more advanced transport belts and stuff like that. So you want to save some of this. So I'm going to connect this here. All of this, if you roll over your mouse over the pipes, it will show you those dotted lines so you understand where things are connected. It helps you troubleshoot because this is going to get messy. I mean, I don't know how to do pretty pipes, okay? So this is a very good visual aid. So right now I'm producing this, and again, you should buffer all your fluids, and all you do is just connect this stuff. Job's done, okay? So that's it. And then light oil, you will need for a bunch of other stuff. So you will need to turn this into, in novice, ignore this one because this is for Fulgora, you will either use to create petroleum gas or to create solid fuel, and then later you'll need it for rocket fuel. Okay, so you will need to store some of this. Okay, we are already storing, no problem at all. But you will want to manage the flow between these three types of liquid. How do you balance this stuff out? The easiest way is to make sure you have a little bit on each before you crack and convert it into petroleum gas. For example, I want to make sure I always have a bit of heavy oil so I can make what is this, lubricant. And the only way I found to properly do this is by using pumps and circuits. I know it's scary, just bear with me. I'm going to disconnect this, right? I'm going to put here a pump. And look, this is super easy, okay? Stay with me, don't give up on me, okay? So now you connected the pump. The only reason why is so you have some circuit logic. And what is that? Grab the wires. There's a video that hopefully I'll put here in the description or somewhere here on the screen to explain how circuits work in more detail, but you really don't need to know how circuits work into detail, okay? The only thing you need to do is connect the storage tank to the pump, and you say, hey pump, you only pump if there's at least X amount of quantity. So for example, I want to make sure that I have at least, let's say 5,000. Okay, if you notice the storage tank can store 25,000, so I want at least 5,000. And notice that this stopped working because the condition is not true. You see, disabled by control behavior, because I have so little heavy oil, I don't want to convert this into light oil, which then converts into petroleum gas. You see, at this stage, just by having these two refineries, you can see that I'm producing a lot more petroleum gas because of just doing this cracking stuff, okay? And now I'm going to do the same for the light oil. So I'm going to put another pump here on the light oil, and I'm going to connect the wire from the tank to the pump, and I'm going to do exactly the same rule. I'm going to say you only convert light oil into petroleum gas, meaning you only allow oil to go to cracking if light oil is at least at least 5,000. Okay, that's it. There's no combinator, no advanced circuitry magic needed. All of this, and this will help you, I should say, for 99% of the things. Okay, there's still a chance that this will block, but what I'm doing with this logic is I'm prioritizing petroleum gas. So as long as petroleum gas is flowing, it is fine. Hope it makes sense. Okay, now I just want to show you what I've been doing in my site. This is my actual base. I'm still kind of halfway through the game. I'm playing Space Age, by the way, so there might be some stuff if you don't have the DLC that you might not recognize, but it doesn't affect what I'm about to show you. Okay, so I still didn't tidy up the pipe network. I do like to have this a bit more tidy up. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You see, I have here refines on this side and refines on this side, and they have some storage here, there's some other storage there, there's some cracking here, there. This is all basically, this is the early game base, okay? So please bear with me within this mess. You can see I'm overproducing everything. Heavy oil a lot, light oil a lot, and petroleum gas a lot. But let's follow the logic. Very similar to the logic I've used in that testing area, okay? If you'll notice, all the three types of fluids go into the storage. So the heavy oil goes to that 4 of heavy oil storage tanks, same for the light oil, and same for the petroleum gas. Okay, now you'll notice that every single one of them has a pump connected. Let me zoom in a little bit. Has a pump connected to a wire to the tank via wire. Why? Because I want to put exactly the same rules I've configured there. I only burn this stuff or convert this stuff into light oil into petroleum gas if there's at least X. And then I scale this factory, this cracking, this is what the game calls it, to convert one oil into another type of oil, depending on the quantity. Simple. And then I add another one here for the petroleum gas. So I only want to burn petroleum gas if this is starting to back up, because I also don't want this to back up the other two. In this case, I have plenty of everything, so this is not a problem. But in the rare scenario where you are full of heavy oil, full of light oil, and all you need is more, sorry, I should say the other way around. If you have too much petroleum gas, which is blocking the production of heavy oil and light oil, then you want to burn excess. And of course, it has to be nighttime, but hopefully future me will remember to make this a bit brighter. Hope it makes sense, right? And what am I doing to burn the excess petroleum gas? I am converting this into solid fuel. And you'll also notice that I have, let me show you, I have here a big factory of solid fuel using light oil because it's the most efficient. So I only produce solid fuel here if I have too much of it, too much of petroleum gas. So just to recap, because I think this is a bit confusing, it doesn't help, it's nighttime, actually I'm going to wait for daytime so I can wrap up this properly, because it's already confusing as it is. I don't need it to be dark and all messy to make it even worse. Good morning, messy oil. Here we are. Okay, so to recap, the refineries are producing the three types of oil. I direct all the types of oil to their own storage areas, and then I use the pumps to control how much of it gets turned into the other type of oil. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Then there's two things I do to burn the excess, because I'll either have excess light oil or petroleum gas, because I'm converting all this heavy oil into one of these and the light oil also to petroleum gas. So you'll see that you are going to need, especially with the Space Age DLC, you're going to need a lot of rocket fuel. And rocket fuel needs solid fuel and light oil. And this is where you burn all the excess. You just need to balance this stuff out. And so as you progress through the game, you might want to do things more clever with circuits, but for now, as a beginner, just do this. Just control the flow of oil with the pumps. And something I just want to highlight, just in case I didn't explain it clearly, is that I have two heavy oil networks. You see, I'm putting my mouse cursor on top of the pipes that connect the pump to my cracking factory. And you'll see the dotted line just stay within the factory because the original heavy oil that comes from the refineries is in a separate network. I think this might help you understand if you haven't so far, which is there's two basically oil networks per type of oil. Which I think this might be more confusing if it makes sense. So I have the normal one here, you see the dotted lines, and then I have this one that only gets activated based on the pump condition. And same for light oil and the petroleum gas. And that's it, guys. That's basically it. Oh, no, it's not it. I forgot something. The eagle eyes amongst you have noticed probably that this thing is blinking all the time, right? And now let me show you the other important use case to understand oil flow and fluids and all that stuff. The best defense of the game is flamethrowers. These little bad boys over here are just amazing at destroying biters at any level, basically. And so as you can see here, I'm building a perimeter. Let me zoom out. I'm building a perimeter all around my base with flamethrowers. And I'm using crude oil. You can see here. Can you see here? I know you cannot see here because the oil is not flowing in these pipes because I have this problem over here, but I'll explain in a sec. Right, so what they do, they use, let me just roll over my mouse on top of this, and you see on the right hand side that crude oil is maxed. It could consume any type of oil, right? But crude oil, I use it because it just consumes so little, and it's very much early game stuff, so I try to use or to rush into flamethrower so I can start using the crude oil immediately to protect my base, okay? And I just reorganized this perimeter, and because the pipe network is so long, in some areas, which are these areas being alerted, the pipe is too long. And this means I'll need to use pumps to extend the pipe network. And that's the second use case for pumps, these guys over here, see? Another thing to note is there's an arrow. That's the direction of the flow. So it's expecting oil from this side to be pumped into that side and the other side, if it makes sense. So now they don't have oil currently flowing here because the symbol, you see here I have a symbol of crude oil, but here nothing because these are empty basically, where this isn't. As you can see on the right hand side it says there's crude oil, and if I put my mouse on top of this pipe, there's no information. So basically this pipe is empty. This is how you know, okay? So the oil should flow from the south to north and east, but it doesn't reach the pump. Why? Because the pipe network is too long, as indicated by this alert, okay? Now if I put my mouse over the pipe that's throwing the error, you'll see that the pipeline extent it's too big. The number on the left hand side is the current extension of the pipeline, and the number on the right is the limit. So I'm way above the limit. And again, this is where we are going to use the pumps. So for me to fix this, I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so I can understand where this is coming from. So I know that oil is coming from here. So I'm using this oil here in the south and also from this network here. So oil is flowing from the east, this bit, and from the south here. They get combined here, and then they go all the way up here. And this is just too much piping without a pump. That's basically it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to travel to this location. Actually, I think I'm going to travel here and put a pump here. As per usual, nighttime appeared and I was waiting for daytime. Right. Okay, let's recap quickly. So I got the oil being pumped from the south and from the east. They converge here, and when the flow tries to go north, it's too long. Okay, you'll notice there's two alerts. Right, it's suggestions from the game where you should put the pumps, but I want to put in this intersection because in the way I'm building this, it makes more sense to me. But this is just a personal preference, okay? So I'm going to put here a pump, okay? And I'm going to connect it here. Okay, that's fine. So now this, if you notice, I'm going to undo this. All of this was red, and you'll notice that when I put the pump, now I only have one problem. So I had multiple problems, now I only have one problem. And this is progress, guys. I still have, now I have 3 alerts. Okay, I have 3 alerts. Where is the other alert? Let me just zoom out a bit. Okay, I have one here, another here. Where is the third one? Oh no, I have 2 alerts. I don't know why I saw number 3. Maybe I'm going crazy. Which wouldn't surprise anyone. Okay, so now let's see how big this one is. This is 340, 320. You see, it on the right hand side, it was 400 and something. So progress. But I still want to put it here because I know this is where both pipe lines intersect, and it visually, in my brain at least, makes more sense to put here at the intersection because I want the oil to flow north from here. So now I'm going to go to another place closer to the other intersection, and I'm going to put another pump there. I think I'm going to put it here, just because I have to take this out. Just because this needs power, you see, and I already have power here, so it won't be too much trouble to just extend it here. And boom, problem's gone. Let's see how big this network is. So this pipe, by the way, the segments of the pipe network are measured between pumps. Obviously, if you don't have pumps, it's wherever the pipes are connected, but as soon as you introduce pumps in the pipe network, that's your delimiter. That's your border between pipelines. As you can see, this can be pretty much infinite. And you look on the right hand side, there's plenty of room now with the pipeline extent. And that's basically it, guys. And now let's check this network there near my defense perimeter. And it's awesome. Now we have oil flowing up and down, or up and right. So that's it, guys. Just to recap, this use case is if you want to have like huge perimeter. I'm going to zoom out a bit so you can see all of this. You see all of this wall that I'm using to protect my base. It has pipes all over the place. So for you to have just these islands of oil feeding all of this network, that's where you need pumps. And I think that's a wrap, guys. So do let me know if this was helpful. If you're a veteran player, do let me know if there's something I should have explained better or differently, or etc. And if you're a beginner, let me know if this helped you, really. And if you still have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Just plop them in the comment section below, and I'm happy to answer them. And also, if there's other topics that I haven't discussed in my channel, things you want to learn, because my channel is right now, at least, it's very much trying to help beginners to learn the game. And I'm creating these videos because when I was a beginner, I kind of still am. I mean, I have 1,000 hours in this game, but I still consider myself a beginner. I'm kind of making the videos I wish I had. There's, again, I think I say this in most of my videos, if not all of them, where there's plenty of good content, but I feel like it's not designed for beginners. Even the beginner basics, I always felt, at least when I was learning the game, I always felt there were some assumptions that the people creating the videos were making. So I'm trying to have like zero assumptions, making this from the perspective of someone that is the first time doing the game, which is super hard, right? Because we have tunnel vision. The more hours we play this game, the more things we take for granted and we don't really understand. But anyway, I'm rambling now, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope it has helped you. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.